I talked to Atul.
Sorry.
I talked to Atul and I let him know the days I won't be here.
Okay.
So I want to give you the detailed days. He asked me to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't be here till Monday, which is 29th. So I
Okay.
joined only on 30th. I joined. And
Okay.
then from June 5th to 16th, I am with my daughter for her treatment.
Okay.
June 5th
June
to
5th to
16th.
16th. Okay.
Yeah. So I joined only on June 19th because it's a
Okay.
weekend, like 17, 18.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then it will be like 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Okay. Okay. Fine. So our class will be then ending in July. Okay, fine. And did you inform him as well the dates and all?
Yeah, exactly the same dates. He's the one who asked
Okay,
me to let you know.
okay, okay, fine then. Yeah, no issues. Okay then. Did you get a chance to go through yesterday's slides and all?
Yes, just a minute. The video is going off again. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I went through that. What is white box testing, then structure
Mm-hmm.
based testing, statement testing, decision, condition testing, then why
Yeah.
we need experience based techniques. I mean, testing.
Yes. So, do you have any query?
Um, and this is very important interview part.
Which one? Sorry, your
This,
voice is a bit low today. It's not.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
increase the volume. Yeah. So is this very important from the interview aspect?
From the interview aspect, I won't say that this is very much important. They might ask you. So if you're giving the interview for a testing position where the automation opening is also there, so then they might ask you that what is statement coverage, what is branch coverage. But if you are giving a proper functional testing interview, in that case it's not that much important. But yes, it's always good to know that how those things are calculated, how the statement coverage is calculated, how the decision coverage is calculated. Although like it's not like you are going to work on that, or in the project you will get a chance to calculate those things. It's not going to be like that. But again, like in the interview, it depends on the interviewer, right? So normally the interviewer won't ask you. But if if it's a bad day and you don't have the luck, so at that time they might ask you that, okay, tell me what is statement coverage, or how the statement coverage is calculated. Or they might even give you a piece of code and ask you to calculate the statement coverage or decision coverage. So that's why it's better to get the information, or get the knowledge of how the things are calculated. And but the chances are very less. I mean, in the interview
Okay.
they will ask you the questions from this side, so the chances are very less on that.
I'm looking only for manual. I don't want automation.
Yeah. In that case, like, the chances are very less. But even like they might start with the what is unit testing and what is component testing, and then what is done in the unit testing or component testing. So they might ask you in this way, and then enter in this space, like what are the things that are done in the unit testing or component testing, or what are the things that are done in white box testing. Then you might say that, okay, the codes are reviewed, and there are different, so they might ask you what are the different metrics that gets generated while you do
Mm.
the white box testing. So at that time you need to answer. Your answer will be, we do this, calculate this statement coverage, calculate this branch coverage or decision coverage. So then they might ask you, okay, tell me how the statement coverage is calculated. So in
Mm.
this way they might enter in this side. but there is very less chance. Again, I would say there is very less chance that they will ask you to calculate this, or they will ask you questions about this.
Oh,
But the things that we were discussing in the black box testing, those are really very important. I mean, they will
mm,
ask you from those areas. And then one more thing will be there that we are going to talk about today's session as well. So they might ask you some scenarios or situations, and then based on that they might ask you that, okay, if this is the scenario, then what type of testing are you going to perform? Okay,
mm,
so this is a very scenario based question. These are the scenario based questions which are very important from the interview perspective. I'll just give you an example. So they might ask you that, okay, so we have the delivery or release after 2 days. Okay, and suddenly the testing team has found three major bugs, and for that detailed regression is required. Okay, so now how are you going to test your test cases or regression test? You need to keep in mind that we need to provide the build, or we need to release the build within 2 days. 2 days is the maximum time we can afford or we have. So in that case, what will be your testing strategy? So in this cases, like when you have a very short amount of time, you don't have much time. So in
mm,
these cases, you can't, do the testing according to your test cases. You can't go through all the test cases and uh, do the testing with the test cases. So in this type of cases, you need to look at the answers which are related to exploratory testing. Okay, or there are something called risk based testing. So these things then will come into the picture, and you need to answer like, okay, I'll try to prioritize the test cases that I need to execute. So I will first do an analysis, and I'll try to find the modules or the areas where which are more critical in nature, and based on that I will analyze my test cases, and I'll try to find out which test cases are end-to-end test cases. We have talked about the end-to-end test cases as well, right?
mhm.
So we need to analyze what are the end-to-end test cases available and what are the features that we need to test. So through those end-to-end test cases, I'll try to cover all the features of the application, and I'll do an exploratory testing or ad hoc testing as well, just to find out the defects which might be present in the application. So your answer should be going like in this way.
Okay, but in your answer, is there any specific at that in this scenario that you gave me? What is the type of testing we can use? I understand all that you said.
So the type of testing that you are doing, obviously it's the black box testing. The first thing is the black box
Yeah,
testing.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And the next thing is you are doing the integration testing here, system integration testing, because the system is going to be delivered, or it is going to be released. So that means all the system components are available there, and all the components have already been integrated. So all the system testing, as part of system testing or system integration testing, you are going to do it. But the thing is, you are not going to execute all your test cases. You are not going to
Mm.
execute all your test cases here, because you don't have that
Okay.
time. A
Fine.
project team should have, or is going to have, almost 300 200 test cases, and if you need to deliver the product within 2 days, there is no way you can execute all those 200 or 300 test cases. It's not possible. So in that case, you have to find or analyze the test cases and find the end-to-end test cases out of that, and you need to do some ad hoc testing as well, or exploratory testing as well, and you need to try to find the bugs out of that. So that will be the strategy of testing whenever you have very less amount of time in your hand to do the testing of
Mm.
the whole system,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So these are some situation based testing which comes under the test control as well, which we are going to talk about today. So these are the type of questions that you can expect from a manual testing perspective. and then yes, they will ask you to write some test cases as well. So that is very important for a manual tester or for a manual testing interview. So yeah, we have not still now we have not seen how the test cases are written, what are the different sections of although I think I have already shown you, right, what are the different
Mhm.
fields that a test case should have. But yes, we have not, talked in detail regarding that. But yes, in the upcoming sessions we are going to cover that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just get started with today's session, and I will share my screen. Okay. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. And another thing that I would like to ask you is if you are happy with the sessions that we are having, if you are happy with the I mean the training that Janbask is providing you, or if you're happy with my way of teaching, then please feel free to give your feedback. I will just post the links here. There is one
Okay.
link of Trust Pilot and one is from Facebook. Okay,
Okay.
so please feel free to go there and provide your feedback, so
Okay.
that the people from the Janbex, they will also get the feedback from your side.
Okay.
And you can mention my name there, that I have been training you, and whatever your feedback is, you can post there.
And your name is?
Sunny.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we are on the 10th session already, and
We have 20 more to do.
yes, 20 more to do.
So
So
when do
we
you
are,
expect it to finish in July, right?
so yeah, I was thinking that it was going to be ended on June, but as like you are not available for 2 weeks, so it's going to be ending in, I guess, within
Within-
July 12th,
Okay.
or maybe in between the first week itself. I think within
Okay.
10th we should be able to complete the session, if like we don't have any more gaps in between.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, so we are almost one third done with the sessions. Okay, so what are we going to learn today? So the first thing that we are going to learn today is about the test management. Then we are going to talk about the test plan. What are the different things that we have in a test plan document? Then we are going to talk about the test estimation. What are the prerequisites of test estimation? Then we are going to talk about the test strategy document as well. So this test plan document, this test strategy document. So these things are the documentation part. Then we are going to look at the test monitoring as well, and from the test monitoring as well, like we are going to have some of the reports generated, so those will come as the documentation part as well. And finally we are going to look at the test control. Okay, so these are the
Mhm.
topics that we are going to cover today. Okay, so what is test management? So our entire class of today is going to be on the test management. So this test planning, test strategy, test estimation, test control. So these are all the parts of test management, and this is a process. This is a process of activities that whenever we are doing the tasks from our testing side, right? Whenever, so the task starts from the requirement analysis, right? That is the first phase where we get involved as a tester, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So from the requirement analysis till the test closure, whatever activities we are doing, whatever tasks we are performing, so those needs to go through a perfect process, right? So that process
Mhm.
is called test management. And this provides the transparency in testing among the stakeholders, because testing is one of the very important aspect of software development life cycle, right? Because
Mhm.
this testing controls the quality. So everything around the quality is directly related to the testing and the test management. So
Mhm.
whenever you are doing the testing, be it the test planning, be it the test strategy and the test execution, you are doing the regression testing, retesting and all. So all those things has to be communicated to higher management. All those things has to be communicated to the stakeholders, and based on these reports, they will take the decision whether to release the product, in which situation we are, what are the risks associated with that, how many bugs are you getting. So all those things has to be communicated properly and with transparency to the stakeholders and the management, so that they can take the further decisions, right?
Mhm.
And whenever you are following the test process, so we need to start with the test planning in the initial phase. And this test process will provide you the facility to plan and control the things throughout the project life cycle. Because whenever you are working in this kind of environment, in the agile environment, or like if you're working in the incremental model, or even in the iterative model, then there is a lot of scope of the change of the requirement. And whenever
Mhm.
they're changing the requirement, so in that case, your testing would be dynamic as well. Your test plan has to be changed according to the changes. And whenever your test plan is changing, your test strategy will be changing. It might not get changed as well, the test strategy might not get changed, but your test plan will be changing. And accordingly you might need to change your test cases as well, and your testing as well.
Mhm.
So all these things are controlled by the test management. The process is there, and the process is called test management. And it
Mhm.
also gives you some of the activities that you need to perform, or the stakeholders might need to perform before the project begins and after the project is closed, after the closure of the project. And there could be some tools involved as well in this process, like the tool that I was showing you on that day, that was Jira. Okay, so that is a
Mhm.
tool which is used as a test management tool. And uh, from there also we get a lot of reports, a lot of metrics which are presented to the stakeholders, which are presented to the customers and the management team for the different type of decisions they are taking, right?
Mhm.
And also it helps to track and monitor the testing activity that you're doing throughout the project. So this test management is included for both the manual testing and the automation testing. So this is not like if you're involved in the test management only, the manual testing efforts will be counted here. No, all the efforts that are going from the testing team, be it the manual testing team, be it the automation testing team. After all, at the end of the day, you are working as a testing team. Both the manual testing team and the automation testing team, they are working as the testing team, and you are complementing each other, right? So that's
Mhm.
why the test management covers both functional testing and the automation testing. And as a whole team, what process you are following, what status are you in, what is uh, the activities, what are those activities that you are going through. So all those will be tracked and processed through the test management activities. Okay,
Okay. Good.
is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, fine.
So I understand we have to learn to use a tool to manage this.
Yes, you will have to learn and use the tool. So that depends on team to team what tool they are using. Mostly the teams they that are using agile process, they will be using Jira, because that is the most I mean user friendly tool which supports the agile process of development. Okay, so
Mhm.
mostly
Okay.
you are going to use Jira, but apart from Jira there are other tools as well which the many of the teams use, but those are almost similar. I mean, if you know any one tool, it won't take much long to learn the other tool as well. And there is nothing very much complicated in any of the tools. So mostly like you need to know how the defects will be logged, how the testing I mean how the user stories will be created for different test activities, and then how in a particular sprint how those stories will move according to your work in progress. Okay, so that
Okay.
is all. As a tester, as an initial tester, you need to learn. And then when you progress through your career, when you move ahead, go to the management role, or go to some role where you need to handle the whole team, in those cases there will be some additional things that you need to learn, because you'll be the one who will be providing those metrics and those progress reports to the higher management. So in those cases you need to learn some advanced features of those tools. But in the beginning you just need to learn how to use those stories, and how to use those tasks, how will you move those tasks ahead in different phases as your work progresses with time, and what will be the estimations for those tasks. So these are the main things that you will have to learn regarding the
Mhm.
tool.
Mm.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we are going to start with the test plan. So the test plan is started, the test planning activities is started once your requirement is freezed, and the requirement analysis is done, your queries are resolved as well. So once these things are done, so at that time you can start with your test planning. So test planning is not the test design specification. So that is one thing that you need to remember, that test plan document is not a test design specification, or it is not a test cases or the test procedures. Okay, so the test plan document will not tell you that what will be the test cases, what will be the test scenarios. No. So the test plan document will is a high level document. Okay, which you which will tell you that what will be your actual plan, what will be your project plan for the testing work to be done. So what will be the different activities that you are going to do as part of the testing, and what is there, what is in scope, what is out scope, what is the exit criteria, and what resources are you going to use. Are there any kind of tools that you are going to use in your test plan. So these are the things that your test plan document will tell you for a particular release. So this is also one thing that you need to consider, is the test plan document whenever there is a new release. Okay, so at that time you might need to go back and create a new test plan for your project. So what do you mean by there is a new release? So normally if you're working in a long term projects, right, so in the long term projects they will have several releases, like in every year, maybe once or twice they will have a separate release. Okay, which will have some additional features which they're going to integrate with the existing software, or even they might be creating some or building some new softwares as well on the top of the existing software. So these things continues to be there in a project which is a long term project. In a short term project you might be having maximum 2 or 3 releases. Okay, because we have seen that in the agile process everything is not developed at once, right?
Mhm.
And in the incremental model as well we have seen that they you know break the
Small, yeah.
whole requirement into smaller builds, and those smaller builds are developed separately and parallelly.
Mhm.
So on those cases, like whenever you are developing something, you will have, or and you need to test that. So you will prepare a test plan for that particular release, which which you can take in consideration for the next release, but depending on the nature of that release, you might need to change the things as well in the
Mhm.
test plan document. So this is a release
Mhm.
specific document. The test plan document is changed according to the release. And in the test plan document will actually guide your thinking. Okay, so it's always better to document the the process, or document the things that you are going to do, so that you can always refer to that. And whenever there is a it is required to be changed, because in this agile process, your requirement is going to be changed, right? And whenever your requirement is going to be changed, the scope of changing might going to change, the scope of a requirement, or the scope of testing might going to change. So if your scope of testing might going to change, if you need to test something else or something additional to what was decided earlier, or even like if you need to use any particular tool, or you need to use some particular test data for your testing, so all those things has to be mentioned in the test plan document, because this test plan document will guide you through your testing, right? You will
Mhm.
always go and refer to this test plan document when you will be testing. So that's why this test plan will set a process for you. Okay, and it will give you a plan which will drive you through your testing, right?
Mhm.
And this is also required for the other project team members, other testers, other peers, manager and stakeholders, because they are going to also look at this test plan to understand what you are actually going to test and how are you going to test. Okay, so that's why this is the document which everyone is going to refer to look at the planning of from your testing team.
Mhm.
So what does it contain? What does the test plan contain? So this is a very important question from the interview perspective as well, and when you'll get involved in the testing. So so normally the project lead or the test lead actually prepares this test plan document. So this test plan document is prepared by the test lead, but at the same time they might ask you that uh, did you get involved in the test plan document preparation? So at that time you need to answer that no. If you are not the test lead, obviously, then you can answer that no, I was not directly involved to the preparation of the test plan document, but yes, my test lead consulted with me whenever he or she was preparing the test plan document, because I was the one who was involved in the requirement analysis, and I knew the scenarios and all. So to prepare the estimation or the assumptions, he needed my help. So yes, I helped him to prepare the test plan document. So your answer should go in this way.
Mhm.
Okay. And then this is a question that they're going to ask you, that what are the different things that are mentioned in a test plan. Okay, so in that case you need to answer all these points. So how does a test plan look like? So there will be a overview. So what will be the overview? It will give you a brief description of the testing that you are going to do, what is the application is all about. Okay, and then uh, based on that, what things are you going to test? So this will be there. Then the scope and out of scope. So what are the things that you are going to test, and what is out of scope of your testing? So sometimes it happens in different cases that a lot of teams are involved in the testing. Okay, and if there are more than one teams that are involved in a testing, so you will be, or your team will have a separate test plan which your team will follow. Okay, so and
Mhm.
in that case, the whole application that you are testing, you are not going to test the whole application. So
Mhm.
anything that you are not going to test will go in the out of scope area. So those things
Mhm.
you are not going to consider for testing, and that's why, you know, it has to be mentioned in the test plan document as well. So the
Mhm.
things that you are going to test as a team, so that will come in scope for you, and whatever things you are not going to test, that will go out of scope. Okay.
Mhm.
The next thing is the functional and non-functional requirements. So as part of functional testing, what are the different type of testing you are going to do, what are the best line for those, and as part of the non-functional requirement, what are the different type of testing you are going to do. So tell me, what are the different type of non-functional testing?
One, I was just taking notes.
Sorry.
Like the performance.
Yes, so performance testing, the load testing, stress
Oh,
testing.
speaking of that stress testing, yesterday was a typical example on the news when the presidential candidate here was going to be announced via
Mhm.
Twitter with Elon Musk at 8:30. The system broke.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that must be something to do with the load.
Yes. So basically, in the stress testing, they will see, I mean, as a tester, you will see that what is the amount of load that is
Mhm.
required to break the system. So that
Mhm.
threshold is the stress testing, right? In the
Mhm.
load
Mhm.
testing, you know, the system will work. The system will
Mhm.
continue to give you response, but the system, the performance of the system will degrade. The amount of load you will be putting, based on that,
Mhm.
the request will take more time, the system will take more time to answer you, but the time where it will break and it will stop you giving the responses, so that is the threshold
Stress.
of stress testing. Yes.
Stress. Mhm. Okay.
So yes, apart from that, there are some other kind of non-functional testing as well, like the localization testing, or
Mhm.
there are type of other things like the security testing. So all these things comes under the non-functional testing. Okay.
Mhm.
So whatever functional testing and non-functional testing you are going to do, so those things has to be mentioned here. And then the criterias as well. I mean, if you are going to do the performance testing, so what performances you are trying to or you are expecting from the system, uh, and what are the different how many users that are going to use that application, and based on that, what load you are going to put uh, on the load testing, right? So all
Mhm.
those things has to be mentioned in the test plan. So when
Mhm.
you will actually write the test script or write the test cases for your performance testing or load testing, so you are going to refer to this test plan document, right? And
Mhm.
based on
Mhm.
this test plan document, you are going to write your test cases or write your test scripts. Okay. So this thing you need to understand, that you are not going to like write your test cases or write your test scenarios on this test plan document. What are you doing is you set the baseline or you set the guidelines in the test plan document, and then you are following that test plan document, or you are referring to the test plan document while you are writing your test cases and all.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what is the next thing? Risk and mitigation. So the risk that you, if you can assess, or if you can analyze some of the risks that are associated with your testing, so those things has to be mentioned in the uh, test plan document. And if you can assess what are the mitigations that will be helpful to mitigate those risks, so those things has to be mentioned in the test plan document as well. Then the
Mhm.
testing approaches. So what will be your testing approaches? What are the different kind of testing? What are the different, how many rounds of testing you are going to do? So normally, if you are working in a very critical project, like if you are working in a project which is used in a banking domain or in a financial domain, or um, a lot of business values or businesses associated with that project, so in that case normally it is followed that they follow multiple round of testing. Okay, at on the
Mhm.
first level they will, on a very high level, they will test the application, the bugs will be found, the bugs will be fixed, and once those bugs are fixed they will do another round of testing of the whole system, so that they'll try to make sure that if anything has been missed on the first round, we will take another round of testing and we'll try to see if
Mhm.
those bugs are fixed. That is the first point, the bugs are fixed or not, and if there is anything that has been missed on the first round. So there will be
Mhm.
multiple round of testing, and after that there will be some regression testing as well, regression testing and retesting. And
Mhm.
based on those things your test closure will be measured. Okay, so what will be the different testing approaches, how many rounds of testing will be there, what kind of testing are you going to do, whether there will be the white box testing as well or not, whether some testers are going to be involved in the white box testing and or not. So these are the different testing approaches that will be mentioned in the test plan document.
Mhm.
Fine. Then the test
Yeah.
schedule and deliverables. So what are the different test schedules and deliverable? This is like when the testing is going to be started. What is the expected date? Like, because everything has to be estimated and planned, right? So for your testing as well, there will be an estimation that okay, if we are going to test this particular application, so for that we might need 1 or 1.5 months. Okay, so there will be the discussion with the developers as well, that when are you going to give us the build. So if they are saying that okay, we are going to give the build to you on June 15th, so then if your estimation is we are going to take 1.5 months, so you can say, and that has to be mentioned as well, that by the end of July we are going to complete our testing. So this is the test schedule. Okay, and then
Mhm.
based on the round of testing you need to mention that okay, so initial 2 weeks will be using or utilizing for the first round of testing, then for the second round of testing maybe another 2 weeks, that is 1 month, and then after that we'll take another 1 week for some regression testing, and another week for our final ad hoc testing. Okay, so this is
Mhm.
how you break your testing. And then at the same time you also, if the automation testing is involved, so that has to be mentioned in your test plan as well, what when you are going to execute your automation suite, and how long that is going to take, and if there are any script modifications that are required, so when are you going to do that. So all these things has to be mentioned in your test plan. And as part
Mhm.
of test deliverables, so what are the test deliverables? So there are different documents and metrics that will get generated when you are doing your testing. So the first thing, that is the test cases, those are also your deliverables, because there are some clients which will ask you to submit your test cases as the test deliverable. So the test cases are the test deliverable documents. Then there are different metrics. There is something called requirement traceability metric, we'll talk about that later, but that is one of the test deliverable document. Apart from that,
Mhm.
the test reports that are getting generated when you are doing your testing, so those are the test deliverable. Then finally, once you are doing the test closure, okay, so what are the documents that where it will say that okay, if the testing is done from our end, this is the list of defects that we have found, and these are the list of defects that has been closed or retested by our testing team. And finally, if you have some of the open defects that won't be fixed in this release, but those will be released, so What are those type of defects? Those will be either the less low priority high severity defect, or low priority low severity defects. So those
Mhm.
won't be fixed on those might not get fixed in this release because you don't have time, and as those are low priority defects, so that doesn't require to be fixed right now. So those kind of things will go in the deliverable documents, that okay, we have this open defects and this will be fixed in the near future, but yes, for your kind information, these things are open, and this will go in the deliverable section. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now the assumption, so if you are making some assumption while you are testing, so those things has to be mentioned in your test plan document as well. Now the test team and allocation, so what will be your test team, how many testers will get involved, whether there is a manual testing team and the automation testing team as well, like what are the resources that are being required. So all these things are will go in the test team and allocation. And finally the test environment, so what test environment you are going to use, what operating system, what are the different tools that you are going to use for your testing. So all those things are will come under the test environment. So
Mhm.
all those things will go into the test plan document, and you need to remember at least like there are 9 points that you need to remember at least 6 to 7 points. Out of
Mhm.
this, if they ask you what are the different what does a test plan document contain, and something like the scope, in scope and out scope, this is a very important point that you need to tell them. The functional and non-functional requirement, this you need to tell them. The test schedule and deliverable, the testing approaches, the test team and allocation, the test environment. So these are the like the mandatory things that should be there in the test plan document. And if they ask you in the interview, you need to answer them.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
so that was all about the test plan document. Now what we will do is, sorry, now what we will do is we will refer to a test plan document, and let's see how does it actually look like. So I'll just share with you. um, okay, so can you see this PDF document that I have shared?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is a very, I mean, high level sample document that is used as a test plan. Okay, so there
Mhm.
will be a table of content and whatever things you have, so that will be mentioned here. Going to the next page, so see, this is the document revision history. So now if you're working in a agile process, so there will be changes in the requirement, and as per the changes in the requirement, your test plan has to be changed as well, right? So there will be a different version of the test plan, right?
Mhm.
So whenever you are making changes, you need to document that as well, that okay, we are doing some changes, and who is reviewing the test document, who is approving the test document, and what changes are you making in this test plan document. Okay,
Mhm.
the next thing is the introduction. So basically what is the application that you are going to test, and a brief introduction will be there. Then the next thing is the scope, right? What are the things that is in scope, what are the things that is out of scope, so that will be mentioned here. Okay,
Mhm.
then quality objectives, so the objectives of the testing, that has to be mentioned. Okay, so
Mhm.
a primary objective of testing is to assure that the system meets the full requirement, including quality requirements, functional and both non-functional, fit metrics for each quality requirement, and satisfied the use case scenario. So all these things has to be mentioned. Then
Mhm.
what is your approach? So the test approach has to be mentioned here. Test cases will be created during exploratory testing. All test types are determined in test strategy document. And then team also must use experience based testing and error guessing. Okay, so all the things that you are going to use, as your test approach, so that has to be mentioned. And if you have the test automation, then that has to be mentioned in the test approach as well. Like uh, like this, the roles and responsibilities. So how many testers are going to be involved, how many project manager, what are the QA, what is expected from the QA, what are the responsibilities of the QA. So what is the responsibility of the QA lead, what is the responsibility of the project manager. So these things has to be mentioned in the test plan document.
Mhm.
Then the entry criteria and the exit criteria. Okay, so in the entry criteria, when you can start your testing. Okay, so the build has to be stable enough, your smoke testing should be passing, your test data should be available, the environment should be available, and the QA team should understand the requirement and all. The test cases and the test scenarios are reviewed. So these things are required for the testing to be started. So these are the
Mhm.
entry criteria. And then the exit criteria, when you can stop your testing, right? So a certain level of requirement coverage has been achieved, no high priority or severe bugs are left outstanding, all high risks areas have been fully tested, cost when the budget has been spent, the schedule has been achieved. So all this comes under the exit criteria. Okay, then the suspension criteria, when you can suspend your testing as well, right? Because you have some certain bugs through which, for which you cannot proceed with the testing, right? The
Mhm.
software or hardware problem. So if you need to suspend your testing, so that might affect the estimation, right? That might affect the time estimation and the cost estimation both. So that's why this criteria has to be documented here, because if the situation arrives where you need to suspend your testing, then the higher management, the stakeholders, they can refer to this test plan document that, okay, this was mentioned in the test plan document, and based on this, they are suspending the testing. And then we need to revisit and reallocate the time or reallocate the cost for the whole project. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, then normally this test strategy is a separate document, so I won't. So these things actually differs team to team. So some team will have the test strategy and the test plan on a single document, but mostly test strategy is a separate document, and we will talk about the test strategy in the upcoming slide. So let's not talk about the test strategy right now. So the bug life cycle, what will be the bug life cycle? And we are going to look at the bug life cycle in the next week. So that is there, and we'll talk about that in detail. Then what will be the different testing type, right? What are we going to do, the black box testing? Are we going to do the white box testing? What type of GUI testing are you going to do? Functional testing, system testing, the non-functional testing, performance testing. What type of functional testing you are going to do? Performance testing you are going to do as part of user acceptance testing, what will be done. So these things has to be mentioned. And what is the definition of bug severity priority? What kind of severities are you having? Critical, high, medium, minor? What kind of priorities are you going to do? Must fix, should fix, fix when have time, low priority. So from the high priority also as well, you can divide it into different things. Like from the high priority, you can fix it like must fix, should fix, fix when have time, and then the low priority. So based on the requirement, and as I am telling you, different teams, you know uh, breaks the things according to their need. So
Mhm.
there will be something which will be different from one team to another team. And then the resources that is required, the for the test cases, are you going to keep that in the Excel file, or you are going to use some other tool to write your test cases and keep your test cases for the defect management, for test reporting? So are you, what are the tools that you are going to use? So those has to be mentioned here. And then the requirement documentation,
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. You're frozen.
Hello.
Yes, now I can see.
Yeah, actually, my Wi-Fi got disconnected and I lost the session.
No problem.
Okay, so I will share the screen again.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I was actually talking and I didn't, understand that I mean, the call has got disconnected. So where was I? I mean, when you last heard me?
We were, the test environment, something you were telling, and then after that, I don't know what. Yeah, this one we finished. Testing tools.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fine. So after that, I was telling you that this is the test environments that the different environment you need to mention. Whatever test environment you are going to use, whether it will be a Windows system, whether it will be a Mac system. If you are going to do some mobile testing as well, what are the different mobile devices that you are going to test, whether it will be Android or iOS. So all these things you need to mention as part of your test environment. Okay.
Mhm.
Then the test schedule. So as part of the test schedule, like when your testing is going to start, when your test planning is going to start, when your test planning is going to end, then the review the requirement document, create the test cases, when your functional testing will happen. So this is the different iterations. The first phase of functional testing, the second phase of functional testing, then some system testing, regression testing, UAT. So all these schedules has to be mentioned here. And then
Mhm.
finally the approvals and all, and like the acronyms if that is required. So
Mhm.
that is the, I mean, the overall the test plan document, how it looks like. And what I'll do is I'll just ping you this URL as well, so you can also,
Mhm.
if you want, you can just download this so that you can refer to that later. Because if you look at this test plan document once or twice, no, so
Mhm.
the things will be there in your mind. You will be able to remember. You don't need to remember the the points explicitly, right? Because
Mhm.
you have seen the test plan document. So by default you will be able to remember what are the different attributes of a test plan document.
Mhm.
So I'd recommend you to download this document and take a look at this once or twice, so that
Okay.
these things will be in your mind.
Okay.
Okay, so that is from the test plan. Do you have any query?
No.
Okay, okay, great then. So now we are going to talk about the test estimation. Okay, so what is test estimation? So test estimation is basically whenever you are, you know, you're starting your work in a project. So at the very beginning, you need to estimate how much time does it going to take to complete the whole process of testing. Okay, so you need to do
Mhm.
that estimation from for two perspective. One is the time estimation and one is the cost estimation. So
Mhm.
time wise, you can already understand that what is the time that will be required for each phases of testing. There will be different phases there. You need to prepare the test plan, you need to write the test cases, you need to write the test scenarios, your test environment setup, your test data preparation, and after that there will be different phases of testing. So how much time it might take to complete the testing, then if there is any acceptance testing required, test closure, so how much time is required for that, and then what will be the cost. So if we are going to use any tool, okay, and if that is not a open source tool, if that is not a free tool, then there will be some cost associated with those tools as well, right? So for
Mhm.
all of this, you need to give a forecast or prediction or estimation to your higher management. So that comes
Mhm.
under the test estimation part. So estimation is the process of finding an estimate or approximation which is a value that is usable for some purpose even if input data may be incomplete, uncertain, or unstable. Because if the nature is changing in the project, so in that case you cannot give a complete data, or at the very beginning of the process you can't provide the exact estimation. That is not
Mhm.
possible, but it should be as much as accurate. Okay, so that
Mhm.
data you need to provide to the higher management, which is called as test estimation. Okay, so what are the different factors, or how the test estimation techniques is calculated? So it depends on the past data or past experience. So if you're already working in a long term project and you have already gone through a few releases, so based on that you have that experience. Okay, how the client is changing the requirements, how much changes the client is going to make. So based on that you can estimate that, okay, at this point if it's looking like the testing is going to take 1 month, but the client is going to come up with this many changes, so that might take some additional 15 or 20 days. Okay, and
Mhm.
you are going to provide your estimation in that way. So with the past experience or past data you can provide your estimation. Then available documents on knowledge, whatever documents you are having available to you, or whatever existing knowledge of the application you are having with you, so based on that as well you can provide the estimation. And then you can make some assumption as well. Okay, because if you are, if you know that okay this is going to be high risk module, or it is going to be a very critical business requirement, and based on that the criticality of the application or the software is going to be very high, and it will take some more time to completely test that application. So based on these assumptions you can provide your estimation, and based on the calculated risk as well you can provide your estimation. Okay, so
Mhm.
what are the prerequisites of the test estimation? So insights gathered from working with past experience. So we have already talked about that. I mean, if you have the past experience with the similar project or in that project itself, so you can use that experience to provide your estimation. Now the available documents or artifacts, the test management repository tools, whatever tools you are having in front of you, whatever documents you are having in front of you, the artifacts that you are having in front of you, the requirement document and all, so that will actually help you to provide the estimation to the stakeholder or to the management. And then
Mhm.
assumption about the type of work. So your past experience or the knowledge of your current project will give you some assumption as well. Like what are the kind of things, what are the kind of experience, what are the kind of skills that is going to be required in the testing process, and based on that you can provide your estimation as well. Okay. Then the potential risk and threats. So whatever threats are there, whatever risks are there, if you are going to use some other application as well and that application is not ready, so that is a potential risk for your testing, right? Or that is a
Mhm.
potential threat for your testing, because if that application is not ready, you might not be able to complete your whole testing, because that has to be integrated with your existing software, and if that third party software is not ready, so that is a threat for or risk for your testing. So these things has to be mentioned, or these things has to be considered while doing the test estimation. And then determining whether the documents have baselined or not. So if a document like the requirement document or the business requirement specification document, so those are not baseline, so that means those are supposed to be changed, because it is not baseline. So now if those things are going to change, so as part of that your test plan is going to change, and as part of that your whole testing is can be changed. So based on that, if the documents are not baseline, so based on that you can provide your test estimation, and you can keep some um, additional time for your testing, right?
Mhm.
And finally, the documentation and tracking of the estimation record. So all the relevant information of the estimation process should be documented, so everything has to be documented as well, so that it can be referred in the later point of time.
Mhm.
So these are normally the prerequisites. Now we are going to talk about the test strategy. So this is not test plan actually, this is test strategy. So what are the different elements of test strategy? Now the first thing that you need to understand is the difference between a test strategy and a test plan document. So test strategy, as I mentioned to you, test plan is a release specific document, right? For a particular release you will prepare your test plan, and for the next releases that test plan document will be changing. But
Mhm.
the test strategy, it is a organization specific document. So why am I telling you that is it is a organization specific document? Because it the test strategy is published by the, or it is handled by the organization level, and all the teams that are working in that organization, they are supposed to adhere to this strategy for their individual projects. Okay. So
Mhm.
this gives you a very high level baseline that okay, if you are going to, if your team is going to um, do the testing of some product, then as part of our organization there are some standards that you need to adhere to, and as part
Mhm.
of our organization you need to use this kind of tools, or you need to this perform this kind of strategies, and this are some of the documents that you need to prepare or you should prepare, and you need to adhere to this kind of standards. So that is
Mhm.
mentioned, or that is the test strategy document. So this is, you can understand the difference between the
Yeah.
test plan and the test
Yeah.
strategy, right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you just read this through, the choice of the test approaches or test strategy is one of the most powerful factor in the success of the test effort and the accuracy of the test plan and estimates. So test plan is a lower level document, test strategy is much higher level document, it applies to all the
Mhm.
teams of an organization.
Mhm.
This factor is under the control of the testers and test leaders. It is a high level document which defines the approach for software testing. It is basically derived from the business requirement document. Test strategy is developed by the project manager or business analyst. It is kind of static document which sets the standards for testing, so not updated often. So the first thing is your test plan is supposed to be changes, right? Whenever there is any
Mhm.
change in the requirement document, your test plan document will change. But the stress test strategy, as it doesn't directly related to any particular team or any particular requirement. So that's why the strategy won't change until your organization decides that okay, we are not going to use any tool for suppose the
Mhm.
Jira. So Jira will
Mhm.
be used across your organization. So as part of your organization, your team will be using Jira as well. But now suppose your team or your organization decides that okay, we are not going to use Jira, we are going to use some other tool. So that
Mhm.
will come through your test strategy. So that will come
Mhm.
through your organization test strategy, and based on that your test plan or your team's process will be changed as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so what are the different elements of the test strategy? The scope and objective will be there. The business issues will be there. Then the testing approach will be there. What are the different type of approach that your organization takes while doing the testing? Then the test deliverables as part of your organization. What documents or what kind of metrics you need to provide to the stakeholder or to the managers. Then defect tracking approach, what will be your approach to defect tracking? What are the different trainings that the testers need to go through? What are the different automation tools that are used in the organization, and what are the risks? Okay, so these are the very high level things that will be there in the test strategy document.
Mhm.
Let me find strategy document. Yeah. uh, okay. Um, what I'll do here is I had to send that to you. So this is the link from where
Mhm.
you can download.
I'll download
And
it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, let me just also go through it. Shall just share my screen, and I hope you are able to see that
Yeah.
document.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so see, how does it differ from the test plan document? Okay, so here we have all those document detail, the change control and all. This is the introduction. Now see, here you won't see the in detail test plan, the things that were there in the test plan document. Okay,
Mhm.
so this will give you a high level what are the things that as a team you need to follow, how the escalation procedure will be, that how need to handle the change management. Okay, if there is any escalation, it will from the test engineer, it will go to the test manager, or it will go to the developer. From the test manager, it will go to the development manager, and then developer, and then product owner will be discussing that with the test manager or project manager as well. So what will be the overall the strategy of the testing, the measures and metrics? What will be the different in the test preparation? What will be the number of test cases? What should be there? How the test scenarios will be developed? What is the pass fail criteria for your organization? Then the suspension criteria, the test deliverable, what are the different test deliverable that will have. Under that, the test plan will come, the test schedule will come. That, so see, you are not providing the test schedule here, you are just
Mhm.
mentioning that you need to provide the test schedule as part of it, the test cases, the test breakdown, the bug report, test summary report. So all these are the test deliverable. Then what is the testing tasks, what is the environment need, what is the responsibility matrix, the stuffing, training needs, schedule and resource plan, risks, and then the approvals. So you can see that this is a very high level document, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And your test plan when you are preparing your test plan or you're writing your test cases, so you need to adhere whatever is mentioned in the test strategy document.
Mhm.
Okay, so that is all about the test strategy. And again, I would recommend you to download this
Yeah.
document and go through it
Mhm.
once so that you can understand it in a better way.
Mhm.
Okay, we don't have much left for today. We just have the three things. So, okay. So let's talk about the test monitoring now. So what is test monitoring? So from whenever the process starts, okay, so in your test strategy, the test strategy will be mentioned, and then when you will prepare your test plan document, so in that test plan, everything that you are going to follow in your test process, so those will be mentioned clearly, right? And the
Mhm.
estimation is also done from your end. Now what you need to do is you need to, so this is the task of a test lead. I will first clear that thing. The test monitoring, this is a part of the test lead. But what are done as part of test monitoring, that you need to understand. But this is not required, or this is not important from the interview perspective. From the
Mhm.
interview perspective, the main thing that you need to understand is what is the difference between the test strategy and test plan. And then you need to understand that what are the different attributes of a test strategy document, what are the different attributes of a test plan document. So these are the queries, or these are the questions that will be asked to you in your interview.
Mhm.
Okay, so now in the test monitoring, what will be done, so basically providing the updates to the test team and the test manager, providing the feedback, and allowing them or guiding them what the things they need to learn, what is the progress that is happening, what are the test coverage, okay, measurement of the test coverage, measurement of the status of testing, and providing those reports to the higher management, and providing the visibility about the test result to the project team, gathering data for use in estimating future test efforts. So these are the things that are done as part of test monitoring. Okay, so in the small projects, basically is a test lead or a specific delegated person who will be gathering this different test progress monitoring information, and this can be done manually as well, using some Excel files, or using some uh, manually collecting those data. But when working with the large team, these things are done through any kind of tool, automated tool. So now suppose you are, if you are having the automated tool, so you'll get all the reports from that tool itself. How many test cases are there, how many test cases have been executed, how many test cases are left, how many defects are logged, and how many defects are fixed, how many defects are retested and closed. So all this data will be, you will be getting using the automated tool itself. And then as a test lead, you need to provide all these reports to your management or to the stakeholders. Okay,
Mhm.
so these are the test monitoring activities that are done. Next is the test reporting. So test reporting and test control, these are the part of test monitoring itself. Okay, now
Mhm.
when your testing is going on, so at that time there will be different metrics that will be calculated. So the first thing is, like, if you have 200 test cases, right, and you have 15 days or say 30 days to complete that testing, so you will break it down on a daily basis, that okay, if I need to complete 200 test cases within 30 days, then maybe per day I need to test 8 test cases. Okay, and then if you're executing 8 test cases per day, how many test cases are passing out of those 8 test cases, how many test cases are failing out of those test cases, and also how many bugs are you as part of test team, how many bugs are you logging, and then if you're logging say 20 bugs, so how many of those bugs are actually valid bugs, and how many of
Mm,
those bugs are invalid bugs? How many bugs are being fixed by the developer? And how many
mm,
bugs your testing team is then retesting and closing? So these are the
mm,
different metrics that will get generated while the test execution phase, and all these reports has to be provided to the higher management, to the stakeholders, so that based on these reports, they will be able to analyze the risk as well. Because if you are finding a lot of bugs while testing, and those are like high priority, high severity, those are the blocker bugs, so in those cases they need to think about the estimation and the planning and the costing, everything, right? They might need to postpone the release as well, because those
mhm,
bugs are going to take a lot of time to be fixed, and those once those are fixed, as a tester you need to again test those. So the confidence level will go down, right, if you're
mhm,
finding so many bugs. And so they need to again go back and again replan their estimation. So that's why this test reporting is very much important, and based on this certain decisions are also taken. So we should think about test status reporting during the test planning and preparation period, since we all often need to collect specific metrics during and at the end of a test period to generate the test status reports in an effective and efficient fashion. The specific data we want to gather will depend on your specific report, but common consideration including the following: how will you assess the adequacy of test objectives for a given test level, and whether those objectives were achieved or not? So suppose you
mhm,
have the objective that we will complete the first round of testing within 15th of June. So now at the end of 15th of June, how much you have achieved, how much you are left? So based on data, metric has to be provided. How will you assess the adequacy of the test approaches taken, and whether they support the achievement of the project's testing goals or not? So how many defects have been raised, how many defects have been fixed? And after the completion of the testing from your level, if the customer is doing the acceptance testing and they are finding some defects there, okay, so at that
mm,
time it will be calculated that why, or it will be analyzed that why those defects were not found when your testing team was doing the testing. What are the reasons of that? Because it might happen that your testing team has not done their job seriously, and that's why those bugs were already there in the application, which were caught during the acceptance testing by the stakeholder in the alpha testing or in the beta testing phase. Okay, so these are the
mhm,
different things that will be measured. And how will you assess the effectiveness of the testing with respect to this objective and approaches? So these things will be measured, and based on this your test report will be presented. Okay,
mhm, mhm.
any query from the test reporting part?
No.
Okay, so this is the last topic of today, and we are going to talk about the test control. So now when your testing has been started, okay, your test planning is done, your test case writing is done, and you are actually going into the test execution phase. So at the test execution phase, at that level, what what will happen is there will be different situations, and every time the situation will go smooth as per the test plan, so that won't happen. Okay, so there will be different road blockers that you will find while you will be actually in the execution phase. And at that time you need to control, or you need to change your plan accordingly, according to the situation, right? So that
Mhm,
comes under the test control. So test control is about guiding and taking the corrective actions to try to achieve the best possible outcome for the project. So what could be those scenarios? Those scenarios could be, suppose you have started your testing and the test environment is not available to you, right? You need to start your testing, but the test environment is not available to you, or some part of test data is not available to you, right? Or
Mhm.
say the delivery date of the build from the developer was say 30th of May. Now it is already 30th of May and you have not got the build from the developers till now.
Mhm.
So these things will affect the existing planning, right?
Mhm.
So now
Mhm.
you need to take some corrective action as part of your test control. So
Mhm.
these are the different things. So the scenario that I was telling you in the morning as well, right? That
Mhm.
you the release is in within 2 days, and now you are getting
Mhm.
a bill from the developer, and you need to perform testing on it. So how are you going to do that? So that will come under the test control, because that is not a normal scenario. You just have
Mhm.
2 days left, and within 2 days you need to test everything, right?
Mhm.
So how are you going to control that scenario? So as part of that scenario, you might need to extend as well your work, and then you need to do the analysis of how much time will it take if I just try to execute the critical scenario, the end-to-end test cases and all. And based on that, that decision, you are going to do your testing.
Mhm.
So this comes under the test control, that how do you take those corrective actions to try to achieve the best possible outcome for the project. So there are two examples that are given here. So the first example is, suppose the software under test, the application, so that is
Mhm.
delivered late. So what are you going to do in that case? So what are you going to do in that case is, the first thing that you are going to do is, you will see what are the things that are available to you for testing, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So the things that are available to you for testing, so you'll start with the testing of those things, and maybe you will reprioritize your test, so that you can start with your testing whatever is available to you, and once everything is available to you, you can do the test of all those different modules. But the modules that are available to you, you can start your testing with those things. So in that
Mhm.
way, you are taking a corrective measure to at least get your things going.
Mhm.
Now the another example is, suppose the test environment is not available to you for testing on a certain days. So what are you going to do? What corrective measures you are going to take? So maybe you will schedule your testing on some weekends or on some other time. Maybe you'll stop working during the normal time, and maybe you'll assign some person from your testing team to do some kind of testing on that time when the system is available or the environment is available to you for doing the testing, right? So at those are
Mhm.
the you know uh, puzzles that we need to solve while we are actually during the execution phase. So it's not like every time you will get this road blockers and all, but if you are getting those kind of road blockers, what is the control strategy that you are taking to take those corrective measures to get the things going and get the best possible outcome? So that comes under the test control activities.
Mhm.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all like that we have from today's session, and I'll just go through the details again, the things that we have completed today. So mainly, out of everything, the most important thing is the test plan elements, um, the what does a test plan document contain. So this is very
Mhm.
important. Then what is done in the test estimation? So yes, the test estimation part is also something that is followed differently in each project. So the project that you will be working on, there the test estimation might be done in some other way, but these are the prerequisites, or these are the parameters based on which the test estimation will be done. Then the test
Mhm.
strategy, you need to remember what are the key elements of the test strategy, and how does the test strategy differ from our test plan document. So this is something that I would tell you, that search with this topic and get some points out of that as well, or note down some of the points that what are the differences between test strategy and test plan document. So this is a very important question from the interview perspective. And then
Mm.
what are the different elements of a test strategy and the test plan document? I would recommend you to download those two different documents and go through those once or twice so that things are uh, clear to you.
Mm.
Then we
Good.
look at the test monitoring and test reporting and the test control part. Yeah, so that was all we have for today. Do you have any question?
No.
Nothing? Then great, we can wrap up for today and we will meet on 31st, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great
No.
then.
30th, right?
Okay, yes, your 30th, that will be my 31st. Yeah, sorry for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
okay.
much.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend
Mhm.
and let's meet on 30th. Bye.
Yeah.
Have a
Uh-huh.
good night. Bye.
Thank you. You have a good day.
And
Thank you.
please provide the feedback as well.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank
okay,
you. Uh-huh.
great. Yeah, bye.
Mhm.